What's up everyone? Alex here. You know what I realized when I made my favorite games of 2019 and games of the past decade videos? I dislike making lists. And yet for my most anticipated games of 2020, I'm here once again to share another list. Only this time, I'm gonna try something new. I recognize that the problem with most of these kinds of lists, and keep in mind, I'm including myself in this too, is that most of the time, the games we think are arriving this year don't actually release. There's nothing more disappointing and perhaps misleading than trying to be excited for a list of games that may or may not be coming out this year. So, I am only listing the games that are, to the best of my knowledge, coming out in 2020. And if you find that the list is shorter than most, that's okay. I'm pretty sure that we'll be getting a lot of announcements closer to each game's release date, and I think that's a change in how games are marketed that I can definitely get behind. So, without further ado, here are my most anticipated games of 2020. My first entry to this list is a bit silly, given how I'm releasing this video just after these games launch on January 14th, this past Tuesday. However, I've been playing through the ATELIER DUSK DX trilogy for a little bit now, and I can finally say that I understand why many fans of the series easily call it their favorite. The ATELIER DUSK DX trilogy also comes with English voice acting, if you absolutely need to have that option to play these games. I'll be sharing my thoughts on each game as I finish them over the course of the next few weeks, but I will say that if you need to play more ATELIER games after finishing ATELIER RISA, the ATELIER DUSK DX trilogy will entertain you for hours. We don't have to wait too long to play Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore, as it's coming out on January 17th, this Friday. The former Wii U exclusive, developed by our friends at Atlus, will see you living your life as an idol while summoning visages of Fire Emblem characters to fight alongside you as you protect the world from invaders known as Mirages. Encore will contain exclusive story content, new songs and musical numbers, and brand new party members. This was one of the major Wii U holdouts for me, and now that it's going to be on the Switch, I'm going to be playing this game as soon as it unlocks right away. I'll be the first to admit that I tend to shy away from competitive games, as it's been too long since I spent a considerable amount of time trying to get good at fighting games. But CRANBLUE Fantasy Versus recognizes that there's more to the genre than just playing against other people online, or playing against the AI. True to its origins, CRANBLUE Fantasy Versus actually has an action RPG mode that you can play with friends that features an all-original storyline, huge boss monsters, and lots of story-driven cutscenes, all of which blend Arc System Works' masterful fighting game design with Cygame's out-of-the-box RPG design. I'm hoping that this will whet my appetite for the upcoming CRANBLUE Fantasy Relink. CRANBLUE Fantasy Versus is slated to come out sometime during the first quarter of this year. I've been accustomed to Atlus releasing follow-ups to their mainline Persona games since Part 3, and with Persona 5 Royal coming out on March 31st, it promises to be the biggest follow-up yet. Apart from knowing that it'll have more story sequences, a brand new character, new confidants, and new gameplay mechanics, I've been keeping the game under media blackout for quite a while now so that I can be surprised when the game comes out. If this is your first time playing through Persona 5, you're in for a treat. Remember earlier when I said that publishers are starting to announce games closer to their release date? That's the case for Disaster Report 4, which NIS America announced that they'll be releasing on April 7th of this year. As the name implies, your goal in Disaster Report is to flee the city safely, occasionally meeting other survivors and finding safe paths through an ever-increasingly dangerous environment. Survival, of course, is the name of the game here, and given how one of my favorite games last year was, unexpectedly, a survival game, I'm hoping that Disaster Report 4 will keep me engaged and on my toes throughout the entire experience. I've openly admitted that I'm more of a Japanese RPG-style gamer, so I'm sure some of you were probably surprised to see the inclusion of Mass Effect 2 and Witcher 3 on my Games of the Past Decade list. And while BioWare has fallen from grace with its recent releases, CD Projekt Red has shown nothing but care and reverence for our time with their games, creating uncompromising experiences that engage and overwhelm. Cyberpunk 2077 is the first time the developer has ventured far beyond Geralt of Rivia's adventures, and if the early gameplay and Keanu Reeves' hype is any indication, it's going to be one of the most immersive RPG experiences of the year. I've always loved deep character development in Japanese RPGs, with characters often sharing their personal motivations and deep insights into their decisions. And CD Projekt Red somehow manages to do something quite similar, while also delivering something that feels uniquely made in the West. I really can't wait to play this game. There's something to be said about Sega West's decision to rename Ryuga Gotoku 7 to Yakuza Like a Dragon in the West, and after seeing and playing the game via its demo, I'm actually on board with this idea. Like a Dragon stars brand new protagonist Ichiban, who constantly imagines that he's in a Dragon Quest game, and this small but cute quirk is so endearing that it's really tough for me to dislike the guy. But while many of the Japanese marketing of the game may suggest that it really is more fantasy than reality, let's be real here. Yakuza, Like a Dragon, is going to contain the same kind of Asian melodrama we've loved from the series, and many of these trailers and minigame highlights serve as a distraction from asking ourselves what's really gonna happen past its premise. It's out in Japan this week, but it'll be out in the West later this year. I'm guessing late summer. I admit that I am a newbie when it comes to the science adventure series, so when I heard that Robotics Notes Elite was gonna come out in 2020, I was excited at the prospect of playing another game in the series. In Robotics Notes Elite, you'll be playing the role of Kaito Yoshio, an avid fan of fighting games and a member of his school's robotics club. One day, Kaito stumbles upon an augmented reality report detailing a vast conspiracy involving the entire world. What's he going to do? Well, that's all going to be up to you when Robotics Notes Elite comes out later this year. I am really excited for XENOBLADE Chronicles Definitive Edition. Originally released on the Wii, I was genuinely surprised to find that the game was going to be re-released with high-resolution models and textures. I absolutely loved the game's combat system when it came out, and I loved exploring its vast world and learning more about its characters and its lore. It's been a long enough time that I'd forgotten about my experiences with the original, so this game comes out at an opportune time, I'd say. XENOBLADE Chronicles Definitive Edition comes out later this year. For Persona 5 fans who have finished Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers is your next destination. Billed as a sequel to Persona 5, the game is set 6 months after the events of the original game. Co-developed by the folks at Omega Force, Persona 5 Strikers won't just be yet another Dynasty Warriors reskin. More recent footage featured multiple cities and palaces to explore, a myriad of enemies, a section with platforming here and there, and plenty of activities that'll set the game apart from other Omega Force titles. Persona 5 Strikers is coming out in Japan in February, but I'm thinking this will be a fall release here. The long-awaited Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally coming out, and not a moment too soon as we transition to a brand new generation of consoles. The first part of a multi-game series, Final Fantasy VII Remake attempts to marry what we'd love from the original game with real-time action and a fully explorable environment. Much like Kingdom Hearts 3 last year, Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the most anticipated titles of the year, and I for one can't wait to see what new things lie in store for Cloud and Avalanche. Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out on Friday, April 10th. And that's my list for my most anticipated games of 2020. Did I miss any Japanese games worth checking out? What's on your list of most anticipated games of 2020? Post your list of games in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and have a great gaming week.